Welcome to the latest episode of the Federal's Worldly Wise, a weekly Thursday podcast that looks in detail at trending international issues. Relationship between India and Bangladesh have been in ferment since the ouster of Sheikh Hasina as Prime Minister 2 years ago. With the election of Tariq Rahman as Prime Minister of Bangladesh in February this year, hopes have increased of better ties between the two neighboring countries. River water sharing is a major issue on which hinges the overall quality of their mutual relationship. There are around 50 rivers that flow from India into Bangladesh. The biggest among them are the Ganges and the Brahmaputra, which is the Teesta in Bangladesh. So, the Teesta River project in Bangladesh has been hanging fire for long. Also, the Indo Bangladesh Ganges River Water Treaty is due for renewal end of this year. How important are these for both nations? What are the implications of the river water sharing? And do they have geopolitical repercussions for India? Now, to discuss these issues in detail, we have with us designated senior Supreme Court advocate and transboundary water expert, Mohan Katarki. Welcome to the Federal's Worldly Wise, Mr. Katarki.
Thank you, Dakshina. My pleasure.
There are indications that the Bangladesh government will involve China in the Teesta River project, which is the Brahmaputra River that runs down the Himalayas through Sikkim and West Bengal before entering Bangladesh as the Teesta. Now, what would be the implications for India if China does get involved in this project?
Yeah, the involvement of China by funding the project is a matter between Bangladesh and China, which India is not directly concerned. But matter is not that simple also, because any access China gets into the management of water resources in Bangladesh, it may have an impact on India in other forms. They may get a leverage or a hand to bargain with India on other matters. Therefore, the security experts feel that China getting involved into the project is not advisable for India. Now, the project which is in question, that is the Tista project, is a little sensitive project. The project involves spending about $1.5 billion to construct barrages in Bangladesh and to train the river. The training of the river involves narrowing down the scope of river carriage by building embankments. This is usually done to avoid flooding of the river in the nearby lands. But the problem is this Tista project, which China is going to fund, is quite near to the India-Bangladesh international border. That too, the famous chicken neck or Siliguri corridor. It is this corridor which links India, the mainland India, to northeast states. If there is any impact on this corridor by way of flooding, that is called backwater effect, then India will be in a serious disadvantageous position during such time. Therefore, it is necessary for India and Bangladesh to work out by conducting backwater effect studies to see whether any part of corridor, that is Siliguri corridor or chicken point neck, will get submerged in case of floods coming down to the Tista project. I'm sure the Ministry of External Affairs and Water Resources in India must have thought of it already. If they are not thought of it, if it has not occurred to them, they must immediately get down and study the backwater effect through various agencies in India, including our Central Water Commission, which is quite a competent body to conduct studies by using the latest software available. But this may also require a cooperation of Bangladesh. Ultimately, the data they have to provide, the project design they have to provide. So until they provide all these details, it is not possible. Hence, a cooperation between India and Bangladesh is very essential with regard to the project. Secondly, there is a larger question of sharing of the Teesta water between India and Bangladesh. Some sort of a deal, which is not in public domain, was worked out in 2011 between India and Bangladesh. But then the Chief Minister, Mamata Banerjee, protested against the deal, saying that this will adversely affect the interest of Bangladesh, sorry, interest of the West Bengal, particularly its summer irrigation. Therefore, it should not be signed by the government of India. In deference to the objections raised by Mamta, at that time, India did not sign the treaty. Now, again, the time has come for India and Bangladesh to sit together and address the concerns of West Bengal. After concerning the concerns raised by the West Bengal to the satisfaction of West Bengal, the government of India will have to take a decision and enter into negotiation and sign a treaty if necessary. Because ultimately the treaty is in the interest of Bangladesh, that India doesn't require a treaty. It is Bangladesh which requires a treaty in the form of a guaranteed flows of water. And if a treaty is essential in the overall interest of Indo Bangladesh relationship, India may sign, provided the interest of West Bengal are fully addressed and protected.
So in the past, in 2011 and again, I think in 2017, I think both countries came close to signing the treaty. And as you said, Mamata Banerjee raised objections. Now, the question that arises is: was there a genuine concern in the sense that as a does it will the signing of the treaty really affect West Bengal in any sense, or was the objection political? Because if there is any kind of a political objection, then now that West Bengal is again being ruled by the BJP, will it make it easier for India to sign a treaty? And number one, and secondly, is Bangladesh interested in pursuing this at all with India now? Now that China is in the picture.
Yeah, a good question. As far as India is concerned, whether whether West Bengal will be affected or not adversely depends upon the water requirement of West Bengal, particularly in the summer months or in the Rabi crop also. And West Bengal is a part of the delta, the common delta of Ganges, Teesta, Meghna, and Brahmaputra, it's called. The water intensive rice crop is grown in West Bengal in India and in Bangladesh in their part. Therefore, the water requirement has to be assessed by India. And once the assessment is done and the required flows are worked out, then the government of India will have a better standing to go ahead with the treaty. As far as Bangladesh is concerned, to what extent they are keen about the treaty depends upon, because ultimately treaty is at their instance, a lower riparian state. If they are constructing the barrage and trying to help themselves by conserving the water, saving the water, because large part of this all water goes down to sea, almost 80% goes down to sea. And therefore, if they are trying to conserve it through the barrage, nothing wrong in that. Subject only to the point, as I already said, that such a barrage or trading of the river should not cause any backwater effect in India, particularly into the Siliguri corridor, which is a very sensitive area, and it will lead to enormous consequences of cutting off India, mainland India, from the northeast states.
Okay. Assuming that Bangladesh changes its mind, or since it's all still in a fluid situation, and India does, sign up with Bangladesh to implement this treaty, will this situation be averted? I mean, can India work in such a way that this does not happen? Or, I mean, how does it work? I mean, is it a issue any which way, even if India is, signing the treaty with Bangladesh?
See, India is an upper riparian. It may not be keen to sign a treaty left to itself. India comes into picture only if the lower riparian demands a treaty in the form of a guaranteed flows, assured flows, right? So it all depends upon how Bangladesh pursues it. They have been pursuing it, but I'm not sure they'll be keen to pursue this treaty once they decide to construct their Tista project.
Hmm.
But only question is, as I said, whether Tista project is compatible with the interest of India, in a sense, whether it will cause any backward effect. If it causes, certainly we must protest and object to it
Hmm.
and take up the matter diplomatically with Bangladesh or at the international forum and uh, stop it from being executed. There's no doubt about it. There is no. I don't think the India can sacrifice its interest in
Hmm.
so far as Siliguri corridor are concerned.
So, what you're suggesting is that as long as this issue is addressed, India should oppose the this project itself. I mean, the Tista project itself. Is that what you're
Yeah,
suggesting?
if it causes backward effect, certainly India should oppose.
Mhm.
Should seek for modification of the project in such a way that it doesn't cause backward effect.
Okay. Now, coming to the other one that is hanging fire, in the not hanging fire, it's going to the Indo Ganges river water treaty, which is going to expire by the end of this year, and it is up for renewal. So, what is the status of this treaty, and how is the project going forward? I mean,
Yeah, this treaty was signed in 1996 when H.D. Devegowda was the Prime Minister. Devegowda, having regard to his experience in the water disputes in Karnataka, Karnataka versus Tamil Nadu, Karnataka versus Andhra Pradesh, he was
mhm,
able to uh, cognize the subject much faster and thought at that time that guaranteed flows to the downstream Bangladesh will not affect the interest of India in the management of the particular depth of water at Calcutta port, that is the Hooghly River, right? So the treaty was signed in a way that if there is a X flow, we'll divide in particular fashion. If there is a Y flow, we divide it in a particular fashion. So this is all provided mathematically in the annexure to the agreement. Fine.
okay.
It's not actually a guaranteed flow. It
Mhm,
all that I can say is that this is a proportionate division of the flow. In case the so and so flow comes at Farakka, that's how the water, because there is no reservoir in Farakka for India to guarantee the flow in that sense. So
mhm.
it all depends upon how much comes. If it X comes, we'll divide between the both the nations in the ratio provided in the annexure to the agreement. Fine. There have been some allegations in the last 30 years, not serious actually, that
Mhm.
during the summer months, India was not able to adhere to the proportion prescribed under the agreement, the treaty. Maybe
Okay.
these things happen because these things are not hard and fast rule. There is possibility because of the management issues, variation in the floods, variation in the flows, etc. Uh, but overall, the treaty has worked out very well.
Mhm.
And I don't think there is any concern for Bangladesh as such is concerned. And if the Bangladesh wants a treaty to be executed again or renewed, the India may consider it favorably, subject to on being satisfied that the interest of Calcutta port
Mhm.
are fully protected. There are certain concerns in Calcutta now with regard to Calcutta port,
Mhm.
that in the last 30 years there has been little upgradation of the river, and as a result, because of the sedimentation, so
Mhm.
the flows which are being divided under the Farakka Treaty of 1997 are not adequate to maintain the depth of flow in Hooghly to facilitate navigation. These issues are to be addressed technically, and if necessary, India should seek some amendment to the Treaty of 1996 while renewing, and
Mhm.
with adequate amendments, making the schedule little more flexible, it can enter into treaty.
Mhm. Apparently, there are demands from Bangladesh asking for some 5,000 cusecs more than the existing, whatever has been decided now. I think from 35,000, they want 40,000. So, you think that is feasible? I mean, I mean,
Depends upon the interest of India in the Calcutta port. Okay, as Bangladesh has been asking for more water, equally India is also keen to get more water. So finally, these things have to be decided by the technical experts having regard to the requirements. It is a bit of a technical job, and finally, the political bosses have to take their decision based upon give and take method. But I think this is not something which is a difficult one. Uh,
mhm.
India can, in the overall interest, if it decides to maintain uh, the relationship, if it becomes necessary to maintain a good relationship with Bangladesh, can sign a treaty,
Can extend the existing treaty basically.
renew the treaty for the another 30 years or 50 years, whatever.
Hmm. Overall, if you take India-Bangladesh relationship, a lot of it hinges on the sharing of river waters, and there are at least around 50 rivers, the big and small. Uh, you think there is a need for a kind of a comprehensive kind of agreement between India and Bangladesh, which can take care of these kind of sharing? I mean, otherwise, it can create a kind of a tension that can affect other things as far as both the countries are concerned. And China is very much in the picture, and now the latest is that after the ouster of Sheikh Hasina, Bangladesh is moved closer to Pakistan. So, with all these political considerations in mind, I think India will need to look at this entire river water sharing as an upper riparian. In a does it need to modify its existing perspective? You think? I mean,
There are two aspects. First of all, sometimes I think why there is a dispute between India and Bangladesh. Because there is so much of water that goes down from India to Bangladesh, there shouldn't be any concern. There are 54 international rivers between India and Bangladesh, and mainly the four of them are Brahmaputra, Meghna, Teesta, and Ganges. Right?
hmm,
These
right.
54 international rivers provide, on an average, to Bangladesh about 900 MAF of water.
Okay.
900 MAF of water. That is almost like 9 times more than what India gives to Pakistan in the three rivers, Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab,
Hmm.
which is a part of Indus Treaty and which has been kept in abeyance. So it is
Right.
9 times more water goes from India to Bangladesh, and Bangladesh doesn't need that kind of water. Assuming the Bangladesh has an irrigation of 5.5 million hectares, that's what official statistics say. And if 1 MF of water is required for irrigation of rice crop of 2.5 lakh acres, I think about 50 MF is sufficient for utilization of uh, to meet the requirement of rice crop or whatever crop in Bangladesh. Adding
Hmm.
to that environmental requirement and drinking water requirement and other things, about 150 mf of water much is leisurely sufficient for Bangladesh to live with. But we are giving 900 mf of water. So why there should be a dispute? Is the question broadly one should ask. But the
Hmm.
thing is, it also has some elements like seasonal variations or some problems. These problems usually arise in the areas in Bangladesh. Whenever such problems arise, whenever people say we don't have the depth of water to divert and all, they immediately blame India. That as if India is responsible for not maintaining a particular flow in the river at a particular time in a particular area.
Mhm.
This is like a liquidity problem of a rich man. Rich man may have an asset of 100 crores, but on a particular time, he may not have the liquidity in his bank. Okay, then he'll go to the banker asking for overdraft. So some
Right.
kind of a problems like this do arise. I'm not saying, but overall, so much of water goes down from India. I don't think Bangladesh and India should ever have a problem, or Bangladesh should ever have any objections against India. Okay, but as I said, it happens sometimes. So that's why some sort of a treaty is worked out, and that is how it was worked out in Faraka in 1996, and
Mhm.
that requires to be renewed.
Mhm.
Only thing is, our interest in the Calcutta port have to be protected adequately so that we do not suffer.
In the middle of all this, we also see issues about climate change that is affecting the flow down the Himalayas. Is that a factor that you think is important enough to take into consideration?
It is a factor, and it is indeed a factor. But again, it depends upon to what extent and which area it has been. We'll have to together India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and China have to conduct together the downscaled model studies of the climate change and its impact on the water resources. If
Mhm.
some kind of a downscaled studies are conducted, I don't know whether they're conducted already. If they're conducted, fine. If they're not conducted, they must conduct to understand the impact of it. But as I said, so much of water goes down from India to Bangladesh. Uh, the immediate effect of this climate change may not be there as far
Mhm.
as India, Bangladesh are concerned. There may be an impact within India
Mhm.
because India is a vast country. But between India and Pakistan, India and Bangladesh, there may not be anything as such.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Katarki. That was very insightful. Thank you.